ScaleGrid Slow Query Analyzer helps you easily identify problem queries in your MySQL cluster running on ScaleGrid. Navigate to the Cluster Details page, onto the Slow Queries tab. Select the server you're interested in. You can select the time range. By default, you can pick last hour, 3 hours, 6 hours, 24 hours, or if you want, you can also pick a custom time range. Then click Profile. Once that is done, you are presented with a heat map of all the queries in your system. And all queries of the same type have the same color, so you can get a good idea of the clustering of the different queries running in your system. The x-axis is time, the y-axis is the duration of the queries, so the higher up the query, the slower it is. You can also hover or click on one of the bubbles to get an idea of what sort of query it is associated with. You can also zoom into a particular time range to understand in detail what is going on with that particular time range. On the right side, we present a pie chart to easily identify the top queries causing the read load in your system. This is a quick one-glance way of identifying queries that are typically not indexed. If you scroll down, the data is presented in a tabular format. By default, the queries are sorted by frequency, so that is the count. You can also choose to sort queries by which queries are taking the maximum amount of time to execute. You can sort by the queries examining the maximum amount of rows, and this is typically the query that is missing an index. You can also sort by the queries returning the maximum amount of rows or log time. You can also control which queries show up in the heat map if you want a specific heat map for a particular query. For example, in this case, let's say we only want the heat map for this query. So we can go in and select a particular query we're interested in, and only those queries will appear in the heat map. You also have another option for filtering your queries. You can also filter based on a particular string. So in this case, we want only the select query, so we can go ahead and we can add that string to our search box, and this will filter the queries to just what is shown in the search box. And you can also download all this data. You can download it in a CSV format for further analysis. You can open this up in Excel, and if you can share this with your team and do any sort of offline analysis that you want. You can also export this as a report in PDF format, and you can share this with your team or any other person who wants a more detailed view of the slow query analysis. On the top right, you can also view the previous slow query analysis that are run on your system. That's it for our slow query analyzer. If you have further questions, please reach out to us at support@ScaleGrid. If you wish to configure, by default, the slow query threshold is set to 10 seconds. If you wish to change that, please navigate to the admin tab, configuration. We can search for the slow query configuration, and by default it's set to 10. You can change it to a number that is desirable for your configuration and click save. And this will update the config variable without any downtime on all of your servers.